Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are listening to this. This is, unless you haven't seen the coffee cups all over the place, and the name Coffee with Kevin. Yes, this is Coffee with Kevin. And by the way, I'm Kevin. You see a little red dot up there. I had something frozen off, so I'm dealing with the red dot nose. No, I'm not, the red-nosed Kevin or the red-nosed reindeer, the red duck nose. Anyway, hey, good morning, afternoon, and evening again. Um, it's 6:23, June 23rd. We're almost through. We are almost through June. Can you believe that? Of 2026. Just 6 more months in a week or so. Um to 2027. Yeah, it seems like we're skyrocketing. I hope we were not rocketing so much through the year that you're not able to remember the good times you're having, because that's important. Remember the good times you are having. And I'm having a wonderful time. Right now, my son, Antonio, and his 2 sons are down visiting with us, and we're enjoying it. I had the best Father's Day. It was really cool. We went to the aquarium in Tampa. I've never been. In 3 years we lived here, I've driven by it many times. I've just never been there. And then it was a great day to go there because guess what? Father's Day, I was blessed because they said, "Fathers get in free." And when I hear that free word, oh man, that drives me. Yes, it was very cool. So, what happened on June 23rd of on June 23rd, on this day in 2013, I think it was. I may have the year wrong, but it was when Melinda walked over the Grand Canyon. And now I don't have it in front of me to tell you which Melinda, but um, anyway, I was watching it on TV. And I was watching, he had must have had a Go camera. So he's walking, starting to walk over, and he looks down, and you see the wire that he's on, but you see way, way, way below him all the ground. And I'm thinking, yeah, imagine if he had fear of heights and he'd have to look straight all the time, not look down. Well, we know he's looking down because his Go camera on his helmet was looking down. So I said, wow, that can be an incredible fear. I used to have that fear of heights, and I would be terrorized by looking at that. This time I was like, wow, doesn't that look beautiful? So yeah, I thought of fear and I said, well, let's talk about dealing with fear today. Why not? And that's what this topic is, dealing with fear. All right. So yeah, fear gets a bad reputation. Fear gets a bad reputation. It's like pain, right? Most people think the goal is to eliminate fear, but fear isn't the enemy. So I said it's like pain. So like pain is a signal. It's not the enemy. It's not you don't fight against it. It's a signal that something's wrong, and it's telling you something's wrong. Unless it's certain things. Chronic pain is like always there, telling you, hey, something went wrong a long time ago, and I'm here. But no, let's go back to fear. Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is simply a messenger, like pain again. The real question is who's making the decisions? Oh, that's a great question. I when I was, creating this and having ideas for this to be created, I love that question. Who's making the decisions? Because I work with that with my clients all the time, whether it's fear, anger, or sadness or whatever that is. When we're in those states, that emotion makes the decision for us, doesn't it? Usually it does. Usually it does. Imagine you're on a road trip through life. Well, don't imagine it. You are on a road trip through life. Fear is sitting in the back seat and occasionally yelling this directions. Don't take that opportunity. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if it doesn't work? All those questions coming from the back seat there and making you think, oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't do this. The problem isn't that fear is talking. The problem is when we hand fear the steering wheel and say, okay, you make the decision. Every successful person you've ever admired has experienced fear. That's right. Every successful person, everyone you read about or whatever, they all experience fear. All of the great speakers of our time and any time, they experience fear before they get out to speak. It's just it's fear is something with us. And it's they're saying, hey, be cautious. We often think fear is saying, don't do it. It's usually saying, okay, be cautious. Okay. Don't just step into this. Just don't leap forward blindly. It's saying, okay, do this, be cautious, be aware, right? So fear does not say stop. Now, oftentimes it's what it does to us, right? It's what it does to us. Every successful person, well, I've already said that. Everybody experiences fear. The difference is not that they were fearless. The difference is that they acted anyway. They checked in with the fear and said, "Okay, I know this. I know I've got to be cautious. Stepping on stage, I got to be cautious. I don't want to say things that are going to offend anybody. I don't want to blow it. Those are all those things. But then you take that into account and you step out anyway and you do the best you can. All right. As a mindset coach, and that's what I am. I'm the Kevin of Coffee with Kevin, by the way, mindset coach, hypnotherapist, author, and all that good stuff. But as a mindset coach, I discovered that fear often disguises itself as logic, meaning, oh, I can't do this because it's gonna hurt. Yeah, I'm gonna blow it. It's gonna and you got the logic behind it. And I'm just being realistic. Because when you decide to let fear take the decision for you and you don't do something, you say, I'm just being realistic. Maybe I should wait until timing is perfect. I need more information. Those last two, I've seen it so many times. I've been there, but so many people in my profession, in any consulting type of profession at all, when they first jump into it, it's like, oh, I'm almost ready, but then there's that course. Then there's that course. I got to learn this. I got to do this before I get out there and do it. Right. Or maybe the timing. The way it is right now, nobody's going to want this. I got to wait a little longer. Or timing isn't right for me in my situation right now. I got to wait a little longer. Those things come up. That logic comes up, and it's the excuse why we give into fear. Sometimes those statements are true, but often they're simply fear wearing a business suit. I love that one. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, what would I do if I weren't afraid? What would I do if I weren't afraid? That's a question I ask people when I first get them to create a list that of the things that they'd want. And I say, okay, what would you want if you knew you couldn't fail? So ask yourself when fear comes up, what would I do if I weren't afraid? Of course, I jump into it. I do it. I'd be able to. And those excuses, those reasons, those logic goes away. It's not what should I do because that's logic. I should do this because, right? That's logic. It's what would you do? Okay. The question has launched businesses, repaired relationships, inspired books, and transforms lives. What would I do if I'm not afraid? Fear grows in darkness, but shrinks in action. Well, I'm going to check in before I move further with, who's out there, who's saying hi. Lou, good morning. Lou is calls himself the investment nerd, but he talks about investments. He talks about what you can do to get more wealth in your or to create wealth, not get more, to create wealth in the first place. But I'm thinking about that because a lot of the times when he's working with people, people are afraid to do things. They're afraid to step out and do things. So he teaches what is the best way and the best opportunities to look for. And you still should have some fear. That's that caution that I was telling you about, but not that any fear stops you because that's where a lot of things have happened to us when it comes to wealth creation. So, Lou, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, you don't have to take a giant step, by the way. You don't, and you should, if you don't have to, you shouldn't. You take these small steps because each small step decreases that fear. Each small step you say, okay, all right. I oftentimes I'll look and I say, okay, I have to call them. I have to follow up with them. And the first thing comes to mind is, what if they say no? And I say, wow, wow, that's the fear that comes up in the back seat that comes up to take the steering wheel and say, no, you're not going to call them. That way you don't have to deal with them saying no. So I pick up my phone, I look up the number. It is my first steps, and then I hit dial. And then I'm there. Now then I can start talking to them, right? And that's a little step. And that comes in going to a networking meeting. I mean, what's the fear? Often that fear disguises itself as like, yeah, you're only gonna waste time. You're only gonna waste time, and then you're gonna get rejected or whatever it is. Oftentimes I say, okay, I'm just going to go to the networking meeting. I don't have to put myself out there. But that's the first step as I go to the networking meeting. And then if the fear decreases and it allows me to put myself out there to introduce people, to shake hands and kiss babies. That's not what we do at networking meetings. We shake hands, introduce each other, and learn about each other. After I get back from every networking meeting that I've ever went to where I didn't want to go in the first place, I appreciated the fact I've been there. So you take these little steps. You take these little steps, have a conversation, start a project, send an email, make the call. Fear may walk beside you, but it doesn't get a vote. It doesn't get, you don't let it get in front of you. So fear often stands in the doorway between you and where you want to be. It really does. The presence of fear isn't a sign of to stop. Right? It's often a sign that you're about to grow. Now, I said this is, a sign of caution, but this is actually even more important, right? When fear comes in and you actually make the action, you're about to grow. You're about to grow because growth is about getting outside of your comfort zone. Fear is about getting outside of your comfort zone. All right. Stay here. It's comfortable. There's nothing bad going to happen to you. That's what fear is all about. 99% of the time, nothing bad happens to you anyway. Get out of your comfort zone. And then when you get out of your comfort zone, you grow, which means that you lessen the chance of anything bad happening to you. You learn more and more. Okay. So today I want you to ask yourself, what is fear trying to talk me out of? Okay. And what might become possible if I move forward anyway? What's fear trying to talk me out of, and what might become possible if I move forward anyway? Ask yourself that. And it's really cool because that second question is great. Oh, my son, Antonio Martin, who I celebrated Father's Day with the other day. Um, yesterday, was it? No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Sunday. Time is going by a little fast, man. It's exciting. We're both fathers, and just loved it. Good morning, Tony. Good morning. Okay, let's move on a little further. Let's look at a few quotes we have here. And when it comes to quotes for fears, I find some things that I just love. I just love this first one. Everything you've ever wanted is sitting on the other side of fear. So if you're saying, okay, I really, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. And a lot of us go with regrets. And those regrets are because we stayed on the same side of fear. We didn't go on the other side. I wish I had done that. I wish I had done this. The reason why we didn't is because of fear. This is Eleanor Roosevelt. I love this. I've learned this a long time ago. Do one thing every day that scares you. This is simple. And you don't have to do life-threatening things. That's not what this is about. This is about getting out of your comfort zone. Do one thing every day that scares you. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to this or that. You're that's that this is where growth happens. This is a great suggestion right here. Too many of us are not living our dreams simply because we are living our fears. Too many of us are not living our dreams because we're living our fears. I love Les Brown. It's been a long time since I've seen him, heard anything of him, but he was phenomenal when I used to listen to him all the time. Too many of us are not living our dreams because we're living our fears. I'd rather live my dream. Fear defeats more people than any other one thing in the world. Fear defeats more people than any other single thing in the world. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He always had so much wisdom that come out of there. Okay. Simple. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Soon Jeff give us this instruction. Feel the fear, but do it anyway. We're gonna feel the fear, but we don't want fear to take control. We want to step out of our comfort zone and do it anyway. And the last one, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. This is, again, I'm going to go back to regrets because things we didn't do because we feared. Oftentimes there's treasure. Now, treasure comes in all sorts of ways. Sometimes it's just a learning experience. Sometimes it's something magnificent for our life. But we don't find life-changing things if we give in to our fear, do we? No. So for this week, I want you to, again, I'm going to ask you to ask this question to yourself. What is fear trying to talk me out of? And what might become possible if I move forward anyway? If you've been thinking about doing something, but you've been holding back because fear is telling you, wow, you don't want to do that. It's not the right time. It's not going to work. Or you need more information. If you've gotten yourself ready to do something, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Well, hey, this has been another great week. We're in June, and it's wonderful being in June with you. We got one more week of Coffee with Kevin in June. So I'll see you next week. Until then, have a magnificent day, an incredibly powerful, positive week. And it's not because I'm asking you to have it, it's because it's in your control. You control what you think, your thoughts control your attitude and your feelings. So do that. Do that now. Come back next week and tell me how incredible it was. Take care, all. Bye bye.